Hello and welcome to the 2020 Waco Annual Charity Open. We have got second Disc Golf Pro Tour stop here in Waco, Texas. We've got big Uli commentary bringing you all the action from the first round, front nine. Let's give him a little bit of that grip six low profile.
Simon Lizotte coming in 10th position, score 31 under par, 83% circle 2 in regulation.
And myself being a big goof, of course, as always, two-time winner, both in playoffs, 6th place last year. This place has always done well for me. And we got KJ USA, 24th place last year. Last couple of years, KJ has started the tour off a little slow, but he always picks it up. I imagine he's going to do well at this event.
With that jawline, how could you not?
Of course. And Calvin Heimburg picking up the glasses sponsorship. He's finally looking out there, not squinting everywhere. So that should fare well for him, even though it's not that sunny of a day. We got a little bit of overcast, a lot of wind. Let's get right into the action. Hole 1 is a par 3, 291 feet. Most right-hand players are just going to play that spike hyzer. The only real difficulty is that shrubbery that's to the right of the pin can catch anything that's a little bit too low, and there's also that OB sidewalk to the left.
Pad, Simon Lizotte!
Yeah, I feel like angle control is really important right here. If you get it too flat, it can push you to the right with that headwind you were talking about. Mm-hmm. And a little bit too much hyzer can push you left, obviously, over that sidewalk. So let's see.
And a lot of times there's a slight right to left headwind that comes off the Brazos River. Simon way left out of bounds. Not the shot he was looking for. That wry smile says it all.
Next
not what he was looking for.
Jerm, Koling!
My normal play on this one has been the sidearm up the middle in the past, but little heads up advice from a new sponsor, Jamie Keep with Earth and Him. He told me, Jerm, just go big spike hyzer this year, and so I listened to him.
It looks good. Good height.
Yep. Concrete slab, nice and overstable.
Kevin Jones!
And one thing that's really not noticeable but actually comes into play is there is shrubbery right off the tee to the right as well. Mm-hmm. So if you do pull it and catch that, I've seen a couple people hit that and end up really bad.
It definitely, and it's getting bigger every year. And I like that you go with the word shrubbery because I don't know if that's the right word, but we both use it, so therefore it must be the right word. And Kevin's in the circle. He's about 28 feet. And that is not how you pronounce Calvin Heimburg, but it's close enough.
When you say it with that much authority, I feel like it's right.
Yeah, I'll believe anything he says. And Calvin's going with the Star Firebird. This needs to get down. This is pushing that left side. But that's exactly the reaction you want to see on that hillside. A lot of times, if you don't skip left, you'll get that roll back down the hill. And so Simon, outside the circle, right on the circle's edge, actually. Downhill scary putt for par.
Cash.
That is a great way to save that par. If these tops on these Prodigy T2s are all flat and with no flag stick, if it hits the top of that band, he can skip out of bounds and be putting for the 5.
Yeah, it's like a slip and slide basically on top of that thing.
Mm-hmm. So huge putt to start off. Kevin just a little bit low. Calvin even tucking the shirt in and the glasses. I mean, I don't even know if I recognize this guy, except he's getting birdies just like the one from Memorial. That guy was getting birdies too. Good start.
Also a good start. So a couple pars, couple birds.
Yeah, it's about normal. Simon with that great putt on the first hole. It's kind of an interesting starting hole just because it shouldn't be that difficult, but that headwind and the nerves of the starting of the round, it just always makes it a little trickier than normal. Hole 2, par 4, 631 feet. We have a slightly new pin position here. They moved it back just a little bit and off to the right, bringing that sidewalk into play. The tee shot is going to be best thrown with a low hyzer flip with a stable driver. And you want to get to the left side of the fairway. It opens up the best approach. And that's really stupidly bad. Low, but not that low.
Yeah, but just like on hole 1, we have that kind of cross headwind. So you really want to be focused on keeping it low, like you said. So a very easy mistake to make is to throw it low into that hillside. And honestly, that's the pro mistake instead of completely shanking it over the sidewalk or something.
No mistake here. Calvin absolutely obliterates this disc. I mean, I have seen only a few longer ever, and that's into a slight headwind. That was incredible. Just right exactly where you want to be. Almost a putt from that.
What you call slight, I call stiff headwind.
Yeah, it definitely was. It was breezy. It was blowing. Simon also with a nice tee shot. This is not flipping up as much as Calvin's, but still, you've achieved exactly what you set out to achieve. You've missed all the early trees, and you've given yourself more than 450 off the tee, and those should be both relatively easy approaches.
Yeah, I feel like that kind of tilted tree in the middle of the fairway is the one you really want to go right in front of.
Yep.
And a lot of people actually end up going around it, which I believe is probably a misfire, but it's fine. You'll get away with it.
Kevin, kind of the king of those low hyzer flip-ups. That one just a little bit too low. And this was kind of an awkward shot with that tree so close on my right, and I was getting a bit nervous with this thing lifting that it could skip over the sidewalk, but plenty of space there.
How far back were you about?
That was probably 400 feet, but into that headwind, it really was kind of unobtainable to get all the way to the pin. And Kevin's come up well short there. He's somewhere in circle 2. And Simon kind of surprisingly going with the forehand. I thought he would just throw his little sky god backhand, but a nice shot there. From our perspective, it looked like that was going to skip up and hit cage, but that was a great shot. And look at Calvin also going with the Star Firebird approach with the sidearm. He's really impressed me lately with his touch shots around the green with a forehand. He's not just doing it with that Rhino that he throws so well. He's going forehand and backhand. And
I've noticed him relying on it a lot more than years past as well. Just sidearm in general, really.
And Kevin giving this a long look. And that's going to be a little bit of a tricky comeback putt. He's probably 28 feet with a tailwind. And off left, and Kevin is going to miss 2 putts in the circle in the first 2 holes, and he's going to be 1 over par. Not the start he was looking for.
And I believe those 2 missed putts are a product of the heavy wind as well. It just makes you super nervous on the putting green, no matter how far you are. Even you see Calvin make that 12-footer a little bit high, not exactly where he went or was aiming for. So it's just breezy.
That was more of a product of 4 bad shots in a row, or then you get to tap in the 5th bogey. That was a really awfully played hole on my part, but that's what you get. Sometimes you play bad and you get birdies, sometimes you get pars, but most likely you get bogeys. So 2 birdies and 2 bogeys on hole 2. A hole that was just playing a little bit more difficult in the past, just with that headwind, that low ceiling, definitely was playing tricks with the players. Averaged just barely below par. On to hole 3, 320-foot par 3. And again, this is another hole that has changed with just moving it back about 25, maybe 30 feet and a little bit to the right. But that change really did change the entire shot. The lines that players have gone for in the past is not quite as open, and so it is more of a driven driver down the right side, I believe, is what best suits the fairway, but it's a lot trickier now with just a little bit of a change in the pin placement. And Calvin just absolutely filet mignon right there. He's going to have a tap in with the tailwind side. Anytime you can put yourself on the tailwind side of an elevated basket is a huge advantage.
Looks like Simon's lining up that spike hyzer. Now, this was great for the other pin placement, but that back tree I noticed, especially for me in practice, was kind of getting in the way and made you had to go super high like this.
Yeah, and that's a decent result. I mean, it's hard to get closer than that. Like you said, that tree on the high right side is definitely in the way. And I'm still, like, even after a couple rounds of practice, not 100% confident with the disc selection or the line that I want to go with, just because the wind has been different every day in practice and in the first round of the event. That was a Thunderbird, and that was a little bit shanked off to the left.
I feel like most people are just playing backhand right down the middle, miss that middle tree with your stable fairway driver.
Right.
Kind of feeds right up there. So I'm surprised to see Kevin take this sidearm line.
And that is the last thing you want to do after missing 2 putts in the circle to start the round, hitting the very first available and leaving an incredibly hard approach. And that's going to be bogey at best at this point.
And this isn't a gimme either from way back
No,
there.
not
you
at
know?
all. I mean,
And neither is that.
Yeah, I mean, unless I'm tapping it in on the elevated basket, I don't feel comfortable with anything when the wind's blowing over 8 miles an hour. And it's a good layup for Kevin. He's going to take the 4 and walk away, but got a couple birdie putts. Simon's so good at these spin putts in the wind. Just keeps that disc low, little nose up. That is exactly what you want to see right there. A little smile.
That's such a good putt from there.
And he still didn't even like the putt. He was talking about it hitting the side chains. I mean, it's a pretty good putt. And after that last blemish on hole 2, I was happy to pick that one up. And Calvin's just going to step up, and he's going to start the round off with 3 straight birdies. Off to a great start. And Kevin's going to look to turn things around as soon as he possibly can and get things going on the front 9. The front 9 is definitely the harder of the 2 9s, and you can see why starting right here. Hole 4, par 4, 441. Now, I'm just going to say 444 just to keep it all 4s. 134 meters, but this is the really tricky, probably the trickiest tee shot on the entire course. You don't often see holes that are under 450 feet that end up being one of the hardest holes in the course, but this is it. You have to navigate that early tight gap, and then if you skip too far past the fairway, it's almost just as bad if you hit early. So keeping it somewhere in the fairway it's a tall task.
And that ain't it.
No, Calvin has gone super early with that champion rhino.
So there's that middle tree. If you miss inside left with something that skips way left, you're probably golden.
Simon just absolutely, this looks so perfect from our perspective, and watch this.
Oh no.
Out of position.
Yeah.
And it's just a really...
Basically takes birdie right out of the equation right there. That small roll.
He'd already turned around and walked back to his bag, and I had to tell him, dude, that rolled, unfortunately. Just going with an Eagle L.
No, dude.
And I got an incredibly fortunate kick right there. That was heading straight into the zone of where really you can't even really save your par.
Sure.
If you're not in the fairway off the tee, it's almost impossible to save that par. So that was a very good break. And Kevin just a little bit tight. So none of us really looking that good off the tee here. And Calvin is, I mean, you can't do anything.
And that's a great perspective of his next shot. I mean, that fairway is so small.
And I believe that is Calvin's eagle. Really, that's as good as you can do.
Yeah, that's a solid shot.
I mean, as soon as you get off the fairway that early, I mean, really taking a 5 is kind of best case scenario.
You guys are all hanging out.
Yeah, we really are.
This is nice.
Yeah, that's a nice shot. Really too far back with that weird angle to really do much better than 80 feet away, which is, I think that's about how close Kevin got there.
So you're not thinking you can put this in the circle?
It's just too far right, and I'm having to shoot off my left leg, which is just, it's hard to get the power that you need to be able to do that. I mean, circle 2 is fine from there. Again, when I'm not in prime position, or when you're not in prime position on this one, par is really fine.
And scrambling can get you into trouble being a little bit too aggressive.
Yeah, if you get too aggressive when you're not in right position, I mean, this course is known for the rough. I mean, you can just look just past Simon there. Think about being 10 feet in there. There's no way to get out.
I liked his shot, but it was just a little bit too high,
Yep.
which is the risk you have to take if you do want to kind of make that corner.
And that was a great approach from Simon. Just past this pin is the Brazos River, and it eats up approaches that don't have the right nose-up control. And there's Calvin pitching up for his bogey. And Kevin wanting nothing to do with that. He's just going to lay that up as well with a weird reaction off a root, but fortunate almost in a way that it didn't stand up a little bit, because if that starts rolling at all.
Dare you to run it.
I wanted to so bad. I kept telling him I was going to do the pterodactyl claw here, but yep. After 4 dismal shots, escaping from the hole at 1 over par is not too bad for the group. Moving on to hole 5, one of the easier par 3s in the course. Just 264 feet uphill, plays closer to 300 feet just because of the 2 shelves they have to clear. Really the main thing you want to miss are these 2 or 3 trees right here on the green. If you can just barely get past those, you'll have a tap-in putt. Kind of a low ceiling, and it's really tight left and right.
Yeah, you want to miss those and all the absolute...
You want to miss that stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm also throwing another Eagle L here. Very straight. Just drifting a little bit too far left, but gets on top of the hill, just about 37 feet or so.
I feel like this is one of those holes in practice where you just come over and you shred it. You just throw it right down the middle. And then as soon as you get there in the tournament, it's like the fairway absolutely shrinks. It does.
It does. It totally is.
And you just question yourself. You're like, wait, this was my go-to. All of a sudden, I don't feel like I'm going to do really good.
It's like one of those Alfred Hitchcock film tricks where like you're going forward in the hallway, but it's like zooming out. It's how this fairway feels sometimes. Calvin,
I think they would all agree with us.
Yeah, I think the whole group is saying, yeah, this fairway is impossible. It's 20 feet wide. It's impossible to miss, but we didn't do so well with this one so far. Simon's in a really tricky spot, and that had a great angle on it, but you can see that did not get past.
Doesn't matter how good your angle is if you throw it in the very top of a poofy tree.
I agree with that. And Calvin pitches up with the Rhino. And KJ's just going to give this a nice little jump putt, but
it always impresses me, players who can jump putt over 80 to 100 feet. That's something that I've struggled with kind of my whole career. And to see people do it, it's just like, man, that would be so much easier if I could do that.
It's a huge advantage if you can putt from that far, not having to reach back and throw. And Simon giving that an excellent effort. That would have been a great par save. Simon's going to have to take bogey, best case. Trying to save a little bit of grace for the card. Nope.
At least you hit metal.
Yeah, I definitely hit a little bit of metal. That's great.
Yep.
That's awesome. Really pumped about hitting the metal there for the par.
Better than the top of a poofy tree.
Yeah, it's better than the top of a poopy tree. That's right. It's good to have you back in the commentary booth, Paul. I miss you, buddy. And it's good to have you back on tour, too.
Calvin takes the sunglasses off.
Oh, man. A little darker in these here woods. And that'll be, once again, that is 1 over for the group on hole 5. That's not what any of us wanted there. Hopefully we can regain a little bit of our dignity on hole 6. Par 3 again, 267 feet, just drifting down over this hill to the right. Such a specific fairway. And that little mound that comes up just about 50 feet short of the pin seems to block a lot of sidearms that don't have the right height. So it's all about getting the right height and the right control, as it always is, but it's very, very specific on this hole. And that just drifted 5 or 6 inches too far to the left, which is never good on this course. And I want to say this is Kevin's MX2, but not sure.
I think it's his A2.
A2?
Yeah.
I don't even know if MX2 is a disc. Did I just make that up? Either way, it was a great shot, Kevin.
Hey, if it's not, maybe you just pitched him a little good idea there.
And Kevin being 2 over through 5 holes, definitely looking for the first birdie of the round. He said he was looking for a little bit of metal.
This is another one of those holes where in practice you could throw your whole bag through there, not hit one thing, get lucky left side, and then as soon as the tournament starts, it's like
Shrivels up.
Yep.
And Simon and Calvin both going forehand. Simon getting all the way through. I didn't think that was going to be clean, but it's way short. Long putt for the birdie. Calvin, I wish we could have seen an over-the-shoulder shot. We kind of do a little bit here. This is such a well-crafted shape there to get all the way up there. If you go down to the right, it is jail time, and you usually serve the sentence of 1 bogey.
Okay.
Yeah, that's okay. Again, if you don't execute the tee shot on any of these holes in the woods, walking away with par, you're happy with it. It just, bogey is so easily present on so many of these holes. And Simon, a little bit of skip off the top of the band. Should be a pretty short putt for his par.
I don't know what you consider short putt, but
This
for par, that is not a short putt.
For Simon, that's pushing the edge of short.
Yeah, it was short.
But he is such a phenomenal putter. I had 100% confidence he'd make it, and I also saw it earlier today.
Check.
And Calvin, he connects with his par, and Kevin. Oh, the cage on the front end. Yeah, it's actually something you should check on those. I love the way these baskets catch, but there's a little thing where they sometimes get caught on a ring. Anyhow, moving on to hole 7, par 4, 462 feet. This is a slightly attackable par 4 if you have a forehand turnover. Most players are going to go with the backhand out the gap and just leave themselves a pretty short jump putt to half throw. This is an emergency. Kevin must get a birdie.
Had to have been a mid-range because of if it's not going faster than one of those. Anyways,
Stop it.
It was a mid-range. Good shot.
And I'm throwing a star wraith. Just trying to keep this one low.
Oh, this is perfect.
That's the best I've ever thrown this hole. Not one practice shot in my 4 years being here have I ever been.
Did it stop on the stairs?
It
right
stopped
there?
on the steps. It's 24 feet away for eagle.
Yeah, that's definitely the best shot I've ever seen here then. Result.
Calvin with a nice shot, pushing that right edge. If you kick right off the tee on this hole, forget it. It's just one of the worst spots on the course, so it's so important to get a good tee shot. And all 4 players are able to do that. Simon with a beautiful shot, flipping up. If that's too far left, it's somewhat tough because that edge of those bushes really makes that little approach tricky, but I think he's in a good spot. And Kevin trying to ring it up, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's quite impressive to see you all get out of the gap. That you usually see 1 to 2 players not able to get out to the opening, and then it shows you how crucial that is because once you do, you have this kind of simple upshot.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a par 4 because the tee shot can be very tricky, but you still see a lot of scores well over par on this one. And Simon, he was a little surprised he kept that too tight, but he's still up there. Okay.
Stance maybe had something to do with it.
I love you, but shut up. That was a terrible putt. It was awful. I'm so disappointed. I was hoping that.
So it wasn't the stance.
I was hoping that Jomez just edited that one out so we didn't have to let everyone see me miss that short eagle putt. Here we go.
Oh no.
But we're still going to get the star frame. And let's check in with Ulibarri for a whole preview.
I'm Paul Ulibarri with another hole breakdown. This is hole 8, 213 feet, but don't let that distance fool you. With the short distance comes a very narrow fairway. And if you do get clean all the way down the fairway, the green is anything but friendly. Here on the green, speed and angle control are crucial. Going deep leaves you a very difficult putt coming back, and not having the correct angle increases your chances of rollaways. Let's see how it plays out.
You said it. 213 feet. And Kevin, master with the putter, he throws beautiful angle of control, and he's not baited into trying to get that disc to go to the right. He just wants to hit that initial gap, let the putter go straight, and just control that distance. And just, again, second time, the AVRX3 just pushed a little bit too far left. Calvin just coming up a bit short, and that is a super scary putt going to that.
Yeah, he's got a decision to make for sure.
Absolutely. Simon, I believe he's actually going mid-range. And that has such great control there. Doesn't even need the stomp. Stomp?
Yeah, it definitely doesn't need a stomp. And it definitely doesn't need that stump either.
Beautiful flight line. Can't really throw that any better. Again, I wanted to run this, but I mean, what am I even? There's no look at it, so what?
That one could use a stomp.
Yeah, I'm actually not happy with the way I'm playing, but at the same time, I'm having a good time, so it's not, nothing to worry about here. Having fun, you're winning.
Calvin runs it.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that one's.
Yeah, Calvin says that's a bogey.
Yeah.
I love God, Calvin has so much more personality than you can see in his facial expressions. He's just one of my favorite people. Not just on the course, just he's awesome.
He's hilarious.
Yeah, I love that guy.
But from where he was, I mean, you put almost anybody in the tournament, we're all running that putt.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, if you're low wind in the woods here, I mean, you get out in the open again in the back nine, it's going to be windy.
Yeah.
But right here is such thick cover that we can't feel the wind. You're staring down 35 feet or in.
You got to go for it.
You're going for it. We're all going
sure.
for it. You just calculate the risks, and you just hope that you hit enough front metal that you don't roll away, or
you just make it.
Or you just make it. Yeah, I mean, I'm usually calculating how can I miss, the best way to miss. Everyone else is thinking make, and I'm going to start trying to do that at some point, but not yet. Hole 9, par 4 this year. It's the same exact hole. It's 519 feet. It really is a par 4, but the way that the scoring turns out, it really isn't. The hole average is 4.64. Clearly, it's going to make it one of the hardest holes in the course. In fact, it's the second hardest hole. Players are going to try to throw something to have it just flip up and maybe miss those early trees down the middle. There's like 3 different rows of trees that you've got to miss that are kind of in the middle of the fairway. If you can get all the way down to the bottom of the hill, it's a somewhat pedestrian approach. But getting down there is a very difficult thing to do. Kevin going with the flippiest disc I've ever seen and turns it over into the woods. It's actually a fortunate kick out to the fairway.
That's nice. Anything in the middle of the fairway to the left leaves you kind of an opening to get down to that.
Yeah, and par is such
bullish area.
It's a great score in this hole. I meant to ask Simon what this disc was, because he slips and he just annihilates this.
Lovely.
That's actually, it doesn't look like a ditch, but that's a little tiny ditch right there, like a little puddle almost. And that is like the spot that if you could walk down the fairway and place the disc anywhere, that's where you'd put it.
I would never walk down and place
You
my
should.
disc in
You
a
should
puddle.
try it. And that's a fortunate kick out to the fairway.
Calvin. Oh, this looks... Oh, no.
And guess what? It's that last set of trees.
Oh,
I mean, it's just
no.
like, you want to see that shot get rewarded. It's just,
That was so good.
That's a bummer. Such a good shot.
It's kind of tough to see. It looks like he's in the fairway, though.
Really awkward place. Trying to go with the concrete slab flick roller. Caught a few twigs and other things and rolled back into the right edge of the fairway.
Yeah, that's nice.
It's all right. Not really much else you can do for Calvin. Just trying to pitch around the corner. Just get to the opening there and just...
Probably a pretty good kick, honestly.
Yeah, it's not a bad place for that to be. And Simon's just like... It's almost so easy from here. It's a little intimidating. Just because it's such a hard hole. But Simon executes that approach perfect. He's going to have a short putt for a relatively rare birdie 3. And Calvin giving that a bit of a bid.
Did
I
he
gotta
go
give it-
driver on that approach?
He did. He went to the Star Firebird. Little shout out to Papa Nate here. I'm going with the Pro Dart. This first tournament with this disc in my bag. It's a good disc. Did I say Star Dart? I didn't mean to if I did. It's a Pro Dart. And Kevin and Calvin both pushing the back edge. Calvin's got a very obstructed view of the pin.
And we got an obstructed view of Calvin.
So it's fair. And
And the basket wins.
the basket wins this one, unfortunately, for Calvin. But maybe fortunately for the course. I don't know how that works. Kevin connects for his par. And Simon looking to join.
Kevin really putts aggressively from like inside 25 feet.
Yeah, and you really can on these baskets. You're not going to get really anything spitting through with those cross chains. So he knows these baskets well. He knows that he can give it a lot of pace. Simon looking to join 6 others in the rare birdie club. You can call that a beagle. That's half birdie, half eagle. That's going to end the front 9 for our feature group. And we're going to check in and see what the scores are looking like. And look at this. Colton Montgomery, 8 under on the front 9. Absolutely scorching coming out of the gates. Paul Macbeth, Matt Bell, Drew Gibson. So many players playing really well. Like we said before, the front 9 is by far the harder of the 2 9s. The back 9, it is windy, but it's a lot more open. And usually when it's open, these players are just going to rip it up.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us for the first round of the 2020 Waco Annual Charity Open. Big shout out to Prodigy for being the presenting sponsors of this event. Thank you so much to the JomezPro Founders Club, specifically to South Canterbury Disc Golf Club. Thank you.
You guys are the best.
Yeah, and just all you guys for what you do. You allow this coverage to continue for as long as we can continue. Stay tuned. We're going to bring you that back 9 coverage right away.
Yes, we are.